Hello and welcome back to Tranquility du Jour, nourishing conversations about living a full and meaningful life with doses of tranquility. This is episode 582. I am Kimberly Wilson, your host, and I am delighted to be here with you today, bringing you tranquility through this medium since 2005. So today I wanted to share a little peek into this recent trip into the City of Light, why I'm here. And especially, because I was just here late April, and so this wasn't necessarily planned to be here so quickly, but I just wanted to share a bit about it and about my journey and itinerary, because I get so many questions from people of like, I'm going to Paris, what should I do or see? And I love to give ideas kind of based on new experiences or the ones that I just return to over and over again. And so that's what today's episode is going to be like or be about. And I also have a few kind of journaling prompts for you at the end that I encourage you to check out. And you can find those at kimberlywilson.com/582, which is where the show notes are for this episode. And again, the idea is just to get you doing a little bit of reflecting about kind of your travel plans for the summer, your overall kind of, thoughts with regard to travel, the challenges, the joys of travel. So just a little bit of thinking and, pondering and dreaming, and that will be ready for you, of course, over in the show notes, along with a few photos that I've been taking throughout the trip that you can also find, again, at kimberlywilson.com/582. So I have been posting quite a bit on Instagram in the stories section, and those go away in 24 hours. So in case you missed any of them or you're not on Instagram, I wanted to make sure you had a peek into a few of them. All right, so without further ado, let me share just a couple things that are coming up in the Tranquility du Jour world. So first of all, mid-year virtual retreat happening July 9th. So that is a Saturday. So excited to be with you all again. These are such fun events. So I think they're so powerful. They are for me, and I hear from repeat retreaters that they find them to be quite helpful, right? These seasonal check-ins. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What are you wanting? What are you needing? And so of course that will happen July 9th. And then the other thing I want to remind you of is the Coterie Waitlist. So the Coterie is my year-long program. We have been working together for quite a while since we kicked off on New Year's Eve. And there's a waitlist. Would love to have you join us for it in 2023. And you can find out more about this at kimberlywilson.com/Coterie. One thing too, which you'll also find over on the blog, May was maybe one of my most challenging months. And what I mean by that is not like it was painful or there was loss. It was just there was so much happening. But one of the beautiful things that happened during that was our Coterie DC Fete. And that was an in-person event that was suggested by one of our Coterie participants from actually the year before, and was like, oh, it'd be so nice if we could do an in-person thing. And so for the past 6 months, I'd been planning this gathering chez moi at my house, right? And, to show off the new renovations and to just get everyone together, because people see one another online, they connect in their online forum or portal, but it's not quite the same as in person. And so it was really, really sweet because my mom came in from Oklahoma. We had somebody fly in from Paris. She lives in Paris, but she works a lot in DC. Just happened to be coming to DC that weekend, which was a delight because she's so much fun. And then, we had people from, my goodness, like Delaware, Florida, California, Michigan, Rhode Island. I'm sure I'm missing one or two. But it was, and of course the DMV area. anyway, it was just so lovely to be together in person and to actually host again. I haven't entertained in that way in so long. And they were the first to see my new home, right? New home. I mean, I've lived there 18 years, and I just redid a bathroom and a kitchen, but also a flooring throughout the whole place. So you're going to see photos from that, the Coterie photos, over on the blog, KimberlyWilson.com/blog. But I also had a photographer come and get some shots while things are still fresh and the walls aren't too dinged and, things along those lines. And so I'll have those within the next week or so to share over on the blog, just to give you a little peek into a lot of the details that went into setting up and designing the upgraded Pink Palace, which again, tiny little space. So let me just share a few things. Like, what am I doing in Paris again? A little bit about the past month craziness. Also, just share a few kind of things that are on the horizon, and then a little bit on my agenda while I've been here. So what's funny is I bought my ticket for April in Paris, maybe in like January or February. I can remember it was like a Saturday morning, and I'm sitting at my little desk in West Virginia because we'd been kicked out. I mean, not really, but we had been removed or encouraged to remove ourselves from the DC apartment while construction started. So, I'm feeling a little displaced. It's one of those things. And I'm just going through flights and looking at timing and pricing. And I was like, ooh, April, it's a pretty good price, right? So I got my tickets to come here in April. And then maybe a month or so later, I came across a writing retreat that was happening here in June. It was sold out. So I thought, well, let me just put myself on the wait list, right? So I get on the wait list, and what is so amazing is I love to look at ballets in Versailles. I like to know, what's happening there. It's a small kind of setting compared to, some of the larger places we go to see ballets or performances. And I just love the setting. And so I saw that there was a Marie Antoinette ballet happening over this particular weekend. And I was just over the moon. So, and the reason I checked actually is because April, I wanted to see if I could come to one, and there really wasn't anything happening except for this past weekend in June. And so I was like, oh my goodness, if I get into the writing retreat, even though I know it's so close to the April trip, that, I think it's just a sign, because Marie Antoinette Ballet at Versailles, I mean, what more could I want? So anyway, I found out in April that one person had, not been able to come. And so a spot was available. And it turned out, I like to have a bathtub because I'm a bath girl. And that's not always easy to find in Paris. And then also I was like, is there any kind of space, like, just a tiny bit of space in the room to be able to dance, to practice some of my choreography for the upcoming adult ballet festival in Miami at the end of the month. And it was yes to both of those things. And she was like, so it must be meant to be, because that room is what's available. So I jumped on, and, it is just kind of crazy to be in Paris, so quickly. I mean, it's like a month, maybe like 5 weeks, separation. But, it also is just an absolute treat. And I typically would spread them out much more, but, it's the way the cookie crumbled, I guess, so to speak, or the way in which, the ducks aligned, the stars aligned. I mix so many metaphors. I honestly have no idea I'm saying sometime. But anyway, so that's why I'm here again. And, just one thing about kind of this past month. So May was, again, as I mentioned, one of the most chaotic months. And simply because, so we were able to move back into our space. So whenever I came back from Paris, end of April, I went straight to the apartment. And, for days, I was barely sleeping because I was so excited about unpacking and getting dust off of everything and, just getting resettled back into my home. And then construction, everything, kind of was finished mid-May. And that's because I added on new flooring in my bedroom. And so that happened mid-May. And So again, things were, say like for the mid-May, bedroom, new flooring, everything from the bedroom and the closets was pushed into the living room, right? So there was like all this kind of moving stuff around. And, unpacking bins. There were lots of bins of just, things that were in bottom drawers in the kitchen, those catch-all drawers and things along those lines that took quite a while. I think I probably got all of that done around mid-May. Then my mother came for a week, which was absolutely lovely. We had so much fun together. And we also hosted the DC Fete, the Coterie event. And, so it's just one of those things where, I would finish clients in the evening and then Gizmo has a little doggy dementia. So at sundowners, he starts going a little crazy. So one of the best ways to get him to settle is just to go to bed, lights out. So it was one of those things where I was like getting up early, trying to get a lot done. I've got physical therapy happening in preparation for a hip replacement next month. And so it's just been one of those like wild months. And then, evenings, seeing clients kind of later into the evenings, and then just crashing because little Gizmo was ready for bed. And frankly, I was too. So I kind of feel like that month was a blur. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. It's like as we're coming a bit out of the pandemic fog, and then also, certain times of the year tend to be busier. And then just kind of noticing, how is that on your nervous system? And, I just kept checking in. What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? How can I ground? How can I calm? What, how do I make sure I get like all the sleep I need? So that I can, better be of service to others. I mean, my clients, you all, my listeners, blog readers, my family, etc. And so that's kind of what, May was like. A little bit too, I just wanted to mention two kind of fun things. One is, if you're not on my mailing list yet, please head over to KimberlyWilson.com/love notes and sign up. And the reason is you're going to get a micro course that's going to take you through the 5 tenets of Tranquility du Jour. Now, it's currently being edited and updated, but it still has like all the same bones right now. And I would love to have your feedback on it. And again, it's so fun to get this little micro course of being talked through these different tenets of Tranquility du Jour, right? Compassion, creativity, wellness, mindfulness, and style. And then also look for, and this will probably happen post hip replacement, but I'm going to be creating some mini courses. And I'm thinking on the various tenets of Tranquility du Jour. And I'm also curious what you all might be interested. So if you have some suggestions, please send me a note. hello@KimberlyWilson.com. I just love hearing from you. I like knowing what resonates with you, what you'd like to hear more of, and all that good stuff. Okay, so those are just a few notes that I had taken that I wanted to be sure to mention to you all. All right, so I arrived Friday, and I'm not feeling so great. I did something one should never do, and I don't know what I was thinking, but Thursday, before I boarded the plane, I had 2 glasses of this really yummy Riesling from a wine bar in the airport, and I did some work. I posted that Coterie post about, the DC Fete with all the great photos. And, I felt fine. I mean, the plane ride was horrible, just in the fact that, overnight plane rides where you're sitting upright, it really is a form of torture. And anyway, I get here and I'm like, I'm just not right. Like, I just felt, what I felt like was after the second vaccine, right? Where you really like can't function. So I had an appointment with my web designer who happens to live in Versailles, a little crepe place whenever I got here. So I was, I took a car, a little Uber, right, to my hotel, dropped my bag, and then was meeting my web designer, who is so lovely. And I tell you, during the whole thing, I was just like, just hold on, right? Because my belly felt sick. My head was throbbing. Like everything was just a mess. And, finally I told her after we finished, I'm like, I have to go back and lie down. I just don't feel well. And so I ended up, I hauled my bag up the stairs of this little hotel that we're staying in, Maison Chanzy, and crashed, and not even sleeping so much as like closing my eyes, head under pillow, like holding pillow for dear life. And I just didn't feel great. I mean, it's 2 glasses of wine, right? So it's not like it was a big deal. And they were tiny pours. But I think before you board a flight, I mean, I knew better, but I don't know. I was just feeling like, light. And anyway, we'll never do that again. And, it took me a long time to recover. And the reason I even got out of bed on Friday is because I had another friend in town and I wanted to see her, and we had Friday evening plans. So I kind of like make my way down the stairs. I'm so disoriented. And one of my fellow retreaters here brought me an ice pack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get one of these because I just kept it on my forehead for hours. So anyway, that was not a wonderful start. But the good news is I didn't miss much, right? We were just, kind of doing introductions and getting to know one another, which is, of course, beautiful. But, I didn't miss any big outings or anything. So I met up with my friend, had pizza, came back and just crashed. I mean, I was so just exhausted. And, it has been a really kind of hectic, busy time, but the nausea, the sick belly, the migraine, just so unpleasant. So I get through that. I wake up Saturday and still have a migraine, but I kind of didn't want to take my migraine pill because it's just, I don't know, it can really upset your system. It really knocks you for a loop, even though it also knocks out the headache, which is a treat. So we have a workshop Saturday morning, kind of on branding, like thinking like a brand, right? This idea of like for writers, like what's your brand? I'm still kind of trying to suss out myself. And then, we headed into town, so to speak. We hopped on a bus and headed kind of down near where the Ritz is, Place des Vendôme. And then we got tea and cake from Nina's Tea House, which I've written about before. If you all haven't been there, I highly recommend. It's this tiny little tea house that's absolutely gorgeous, and you get pink cake. And apparently, I'm not sure if it was like Marie Antoinette's recipe or a cake that she really liked, but it's like an apple cake, but it has this beautiful, beautiful pink icing. So we ended up having her cake and tea in the Tuileries, which was really lovely, and then kind of went off doing our own things. And I, had the Marie Antoinette Ballet that night, so I decided to head on over from the Tuileries to go to the little tea house in Smith & Son, which used to be W.H. Smith. It's now called Smith & Son, and it's right on Rue de Rivoli, so right, outside of the Tuileries. And sat and had some yummy tea and some scones, and then headed back to the hotel to get ready for the ballet. And there was like massive downpour. So headed out to Versailles and, saw the ballet. It was just it was so stunning. There was one point in the ballet where they come out in these big pastel colored wigs. And I love the dresses. Now, I love tutus, but I also really like ball gowns for dancing. And that's actually what I'm going to be wearing for my little Lilac Fairy performance at the end of May. I got, again, like a similar type ball gown. I'm looking at the photo that I've uploaded to the show notes, so you'll see it. But it's more like a T-length, and then kind of like big and flowy. So anyway, so that was it was gorgeous. It was really lovely. We come out, it's still freaking light, and it's like, I don't know, 9:00 at night. It's amazing. And then we just kind of headed back here. We, whenever I say that, a fellow retreater was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see if there's tickets. And so there were still tickets available, and she joined me. And so Sunday, woke up, we had a workshop, and I somehow overslept. I hit my alarm for 8. When the 8 o'clock went off, I was like, oh, Mom is still tired. So I thought I reset it for 8:30 or 9. I must have hit PM. I'm not sure. It didn't go off. So I wake up at 9, and I woke up at 10. And the reason I know is because there's bells that chime, and I counted them whenever I started hearing them. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock. So I raced downstairs and joined the workshop, which is happening. Everyone is staying here in this little maison, this little hotel, and, the workshops are downstairs. And then we went over to the market. I mean, there's a beautiful, beautiful market nearby. And, I posted some photos. Some of you have probably seen them on the Instagram stories, but also I'll be sure to share, some over on the blog. But what's so fun is just the display of the produce is just stunning. So I picked up some cantaloupes, I got mangoes, and I got peonies. I'm trying to think. I got one other thing and I'm blanking on it. One other fruit. But it was just like so yummy. And then, got greens and came back and just had a nice big yummy salad. And so that's always fun, going through the markets here is just always really, it's just a delight. Everything's so beautiful and everything's so freaking tasty. So then after that, we went to go play a game of pétanque, which is like bocce for those of you who know that. With the little old Italian men, you see often playing them. I remember whenever we did the RV tour in France, we spent, was it 2 weeks in an RV in the south of France, and all the RV parks, all the little men were out there playing their bocce. Actually, and now that I think about it, they could have been playing pétanque because it's very similar. So I just assumed they were playing bocce. But anyway, it's this really fun little game, and you just like roll a little tiny ball, and you try to get as close as possible to the cochon, which is the little pig, even though it's just that's what it's called, but it's a little green ball. Anyway, okay, I am never good at anything athletic. And somehow, like at the beginning, I was pretty bad, right? And then as it got going and we started winning, I got kind of competitive. And I was like the little pétanque star, which like never happens. Anyway, we got little medals. We won. I was like so proud of us. There's a photo on the blog about it. So it was 3 against 3. And it was just like, it was really a fun experience. And initially I was like, oh, do I want to go? Maybe I'll just stay back and write. And I went, and I'm so glad I did because it was really, 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 really fun. And then I rushed back for a ballet class online for, it's like a little rehearsal for the upcoming performance. And I log in and she's still in like the middle of a class and I'm so confused, right? I'm like, I rushed back here, like sweat pouring down my back. And I'm like, maybe she's running late. And then I realized I had miscalculated. So I'm used to, we have a noon class and then we have a 1:15 class. So in my head, I needed to be back by 6. Well, no, it was 7. So 1:15, because the noon class was not happening, 1:15 was when I needed to be back. And so I kept just looking at her and looking at my watch and being like, what is she teaching? Maybe she's running late. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's at 7:15. So one of those moments. So I just did some practicing, of my little solo and some performances. And then I joined the class. Then I went out for pizza with one of my fellow colleagues here. So it was fun. It was just a fun, kind of gentle day. So Monday, we started with a little mind mapping about our kind of writing careers, what we want to see for ourselves over the next 2 years. And of course, my thing was definitely want to get this memoir finished, polished, kind of out and, ideally to my agent. And then hopefully I'd love to traditionally publish this. So we'll see. And then be starting a book, another book, and kind of thinking something maybe in the mental health realm, something that, ties in kind of what I'm currently doing and working so much with my clients on. And then we went to Au Vive, which you have probably seen Au Vive in photos because it's that beautiful cafe, really old cafe, like 1700s, with like wisteria outside. It's just so beautiful. Again, there's a photo of that over on the blog. And then we sat inside and upstairs, and it's just like this dark wood and these big, heavy red velvet kind of fabric blankets. So really lovely. Not blankets, but curtains. And then we went to Red Wheelbarrow, which I've always wanted to go to the English bookstore, Red Wheelbarrow. And I remember going and being so excited and using a map. This is pre-Google Maps and traipsing all over the city, getting to Red Wheelbarrow in the Marais, and then it was closed. And it turns out she's had a few iterations of her store. And so anyway, we got to meet the owner, and I bought this really lovely book that I'll have to share online. It's across the room, so I can't get up and get it, but it looks so good. And And, it's kind of about like discovering you. So anyway, I'll mention what this book is later because I think that I haven't started it, but I think it might be really yummy. Then we went to Luxembourg Garden, which is always a delight, and had tea. I had I love my green tea with mint here, and then fresh pressed orange juice, such a delight. And then from there, we kind of split off and I went to the Monoprix to get some gifts. I have a friend who wanted a red lipstick. I was looking for a particular moisturizer some people were raving about. And then my partner, Tim, always loves these little tea packets. Or not tea packets, coffee packets. So I picked those up for him. And then I kind of meandered along and I went and I got some pizza because I love me some pizza. And then as I'm walking back towards the hotel, and this is around 8 o'clock at night, I pass 38 Rive, which is on Rue de Rivoli, and it's 38 is the address, and it's one of my favorite like jazz places here. And I look and I'm like, oh, they have a show at 9. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go, why not? And so I stop and I get a little lemon sorbet, just enjoy that kind of out on the street, entertain myself, and then head on over to the jazz, which was lovely. And then headed on home. So, that was a really fun event. I must have gotten home probably about 10:30 Monday night. And then yesterday was a quick morning jaunt to the Monoprix. And I posted a couple skirts. One, I asked your opinion on should I do it, should I not? It's this really kind of precious toile print. And, it's very sweet, very fun. And someone in the group had it on the day before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so, so cute. Then I tried it on, I'm like, is it me? And I just couldn't decide. So I didn't get it, but I got a black sequin skirt and a long kind of like black satiny strapless dress. And not strapless, sorry, sleeveless dress. And so Monoprix is really fun. If you all haven't been to the Monoprix in Paris, it's like a Target. And, some have a lot more clothing. And so we went to the one in Nation and many more clothes, and really, really just so fun and I picked up some books for a friend of mine. And I also found, as we were walking back in the window of a pastry shop, is a Pavlova kit. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm obsessed with Pavlovas. And so I, of course, had to buy the kit. It's only like €5. And I think it's just to make the meringue. Then you add, I guess, the cream and the fruit. And anyway, so I'm like so excited about that. So that was really fun. And then we went and had lunch at this sweet little place that had a detox drink, which was really lovely because I love juices and fruits and vegetables here. And then we went to the Rodin Museum, which was just stunning. That place is always gorgeous. We had a little workshop in the cafe, that is kind of in the gardens. And then we kind of wandered along Rue Claire, which is this kind of like this little market area, but it's, with like a lot of stores that like Mirage Fraise. I always don't quite pronounce that right, but you guys probably know that tea. And so they have the tea place. They have a La Durée Glacé place, which is, for ice cream. And I got a rose ice cream and, little not farmers markets, grocery markets and flower stands and stationery stores, and just it's a really cute little street and stretch. And as I was eating my rose ice cream, I met a little couple from Texas, and that was fun. I was like, I know that accent. He's like, oh, I'm from Texas. I'm like, of course you are. I'm from Oklahoma. I hear you. But what's so great at the little tea place was they had a Swan Lake tea that is green tea with violet and rose. I'm like, really? I mean, could I want anything more? And what's great is he said that it's somewhat limited edition, meaning it doesn't come in the tins. So it just, I was able to get it in a little bag. But oh my gosh, like I'm so excited to try this tea. It smells so, so divine. So then after that, we had dinner on Rue Claire, like this little spot where I had pizza because that's all I eat in France is pizza, salads, French fries. And then we went to Shangri-La which is a hotel for a little botanist bar. And I got a Parisian spritz, which was really, really lovely. It was like champagne, Saint-Germain, liqueur, sparkling water, and one other thing was in it. Anyway, it was just really, really lovely. Beautiful setting. And we took the metro home and went to sleep. And now it's a brand new day. And guess what I woke up to? An email from Air France saying that France is striking in the airports today and tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm set to fly home. So we'll see if I get to fly home. I'm not really sure. They will notify me if I'm affected, but I can't imagine I'm not affected. So we will see how this all plays out. I'll be sure to keep you posted on how things unfold. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a little peek into the journey and, and then just share some photos and also, say thank you for joining me, kind of following along in this journey. And, the crazy thing about this writing retreat, I've done no writing. There's been no time for writing. And, if it was time that was carved out for it, instead everyone's socializing, which is lovely. It's a really lovely group. But I'm oh my gosh, I'm so behind on the writing that I had hoped to and planned to do. So, c'est la vie. Who knows? I may be here a few more days considering the strike. So we'll see. And today what's on the agenda, we're doing a little tour with Edith de Belleville. I've met her. Let me see. What is her name? I just want to make sure I get her name. Edith de Belleville. Anyway, you guys may follow her on Facebook. She's got a really fun Parisian women Facebook group, and she just wrote a book on strong women of the Marais. Anyway, she seems really lovely. I met her a few years ago at a cafe with a friend of mine, Maite. And then after that, I'm going to the Dior Museum. And then we have a dinner cruise. And then that's it. Voila, complete. And so again, not sure how much writing I will have done at all. I may have to do it at the airport or on the plane, but it's been a really lovely experience. There's just been a couple of new things, but it's just fun to do it in a curated experience with a group that I'm not leading and that I just get to play participant in, which is really, it's been great. And the weather's been great. It's a little warm. The first day was in the 80s, low 80s, right? Not horrible by any means, but other than that, it's been kind of chilly, 70s. Right now it's quite chilly and raining. So, great. I mean, it's super easy to get around in like that when you're not sweating or the sun beating down on you. So it's been a real delight. I just hope I can get home. All right. So look for some journaling prompts over in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining me. A gentle reminder, sign up for those love notes. Browse my 6 books. Would so appreciate your support. And it's funny, as I realized during this time that Hip Tranquil Check, if I'm doing my math properly, turned 16 this year. So I was thinking we might need to do a Sweet 16 thing for Hip Tranquil Check. And there's also a link to follow me on Instagram. I'm at Tranquility du Jour, and same with YouTube. And if you have a moment to pen a review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or any of my books on Amazon or Goodreads, I would be so grateful. And, send me a screenshot of it, or you listening to the podcast, and I'll send you a little Paris postcard. All right, love, have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in, and more soon.